Hello, everyone. Welcome along. Great to have you here with us today. I'm very blessed with the dear sister Trina, who came to me through our dear sister, Heidi. It was that introduced us, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, Heidi came on the show and then she said, "Oh, I've got this sister in Australia. I think she would be awesome. She's got a lot to share." So we connected, had a bit of a yarn, and just felt it was alignment for both of us. So welcome aboard. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here to share. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you. I think you share a lot. You've got quite a journey. You've had many years of being a practitioner or a guide, a mentor in a lot of areas, especially with health and well-being. So it'd be really nice to, yeah, share a bit about your journey and how you came to, yeah, where you are now. You don't have to go into all of it, but
Sure. Um, so I think I haven't got any huge you know, trauma rebirthing or that my or awakening significant awakening process or anything like that. I literally um came into this world with a knowing. I've always had this innate knowing. And obviously in my earlier years, I didn't know what that was, or I was very naturally guided to, in my childhood, to even sneak out of the house and go down the park and lie on where I could see the biggest views of the stars, as a child. And I'd just lie there at night and, just communicate, I think, and um, often wonder what it would be like living on one, or things like that. So that for me started quite young. And I was raised in a Catholic environment, so religion was important to my parents, but I also knew, I always had an innate knowing that what I was hearing and feeling with what was coming up within the Catholic Church at that time was, obviously, well, and now, fear and hypocrisy. And I could always hear that undertone of it. And I remember even at a young age I would say to mum, I don't need to go to church because the bush is my church. I get what I need in nature. I don't need to be in this what I've found, very plastic world. So from a quite a young age I was already, but in saying that, it also gave me knowledge, and I could feel um the multidimensionality that comes with certain religion too. I expanded on that as well. So but I knew I didn't need those communities or the church to get what that was they were trying to provide. Does that make sense? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, totally.
Mhm. So just growing up as really nature and earth being my happy place, and where I felt safe, and I could communicate, elementals, and it was just really, heaven for me. And um yeah, and also children. I was very good with kids and very attracted to communicating, even, with babies, or on another level. And so after school, I actually studied early childhood education, and then that led me to a journey traveling, actually. So I traveled to many sacred places, and had many experiences all through my 20s, and a lot of obviously teachings and learnings came with that, but just also it really expanded my intuitive knowledge on um, how to flow. And I could feel spirit guide me everywhere we went, and I had lots of remembrances of, like, in places like Avalon and South America and things like that. So even in my 20s, not really fully understanding what that meant for me at that time, but I still knew I was very connected. And even in going down the party route in London, for example, I would see energy and auras. I could feel people taking people's energies. I could see it at times too, people taking, literally ripping people's energies away. So I really learnt too how to um, keep that sort of safe for myself, and just innately experimenting with that, I suppose. So without any formal training or anything, and obviously traveling through places like India was just a feast for the senses that awakened every single sense of you, and you were fully online the whole time, and then taken through ashrams and traveling with gurus and sadhus and having all these beautiful experiences, I suppose. So there was never really one huge awakening process where I was like, whoa, this is this new reality. It's always been innately there, and then just every experience on top of that has just expanded into obviously who I am and how I work today. Mm.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
It's quite a treat to hear that, how someone is in touch, and there isn't really a stage where they just shut it off or it gets shut off by their environment. Like, it's amazing, even because that could have happened with you with the religion, and just say, oh well, this isn't resonating with that, I'm just going to walk away and shut everything off. But you stayed in touch and could
Mm, mm,
feel that connection. So yeah, it's a
mm.
beautiful journey. And hearing how, I can imagine how much that did expand you, like you say, and because you're constantly in that communion. And if we want to go to build muscles, we go to the gym, and we lift muscles in our so you're always exercising that muscle. So it must help to have that strong connection to help your clients now.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, it hasn't led me, it doesn't mean that I haven't experienced some level of trauma or I've made bad decisions or anything like that. But well, there is no bad decision, is there? It's all just another level of learning, and just presenting what you need to, move through. So yeah, so that's obviously still been going on too. Everyone's human.
Yeah, beautiful. That soul-led life, isn't it? And seeing the human experience, whatever those experiences are, blessings, there's a blessing in them, a place for us to evolve, and it's really on how we relate to them, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So with your work, like you said, you had a really strong connection with children, and I feel that would be a beautiful place to explore because, we have amazing children coming through now, and we're aware that they are our teachers, so how do we help them stay in touch with who they are?
Well, that's right. Well, the biggest thing I would say is to work on ourselves and unlock, what's going on within us. We're breaking generations and cycles of generational parenting, and for them, they are sensitive souls, obviously highly sensitive, and they see the truth and they feel the truth, and we want them obviously to be their intuitive selves like we're striving to be. And the only way they can do that is if we're honest with them, we're truthful with our emotions, obviously age dependent, on their developmental stages, how far we take that knowledge of our truth to them, but we also have to be, there's obviously ways at every stage of development to express that. If we don't show them our truth and how we're really feeling, instead of brushing it over, say, no, no, I'm fine, mummy's fine, or daddy's fine, no, mum's angry. I'm feeling angry and I'm processing this, because they know. But if you say, no, I'm fine, you're telling them not to trust their intuition because they already innately know that you're feeling another emotions. You're going through other stuff. But the more we not truthful with them, the more that they won't listen to their own intuition, because they'll start to believe they're wrong, their feelings are wrong.
Mm. That's important. And would
Yeah,
and also could you find that they may not feel safe in their environment because they're sensing that the this truth of what they've been told?
that's right, exactly. Yeah. And so, I mean, their mission is, love, and to um help us expand into a world of unity consciousness. And yeah, the frequency of the earth has changed so much that it's allowing these really high vibrational beings to enter, or they weren't able to before because of the density. And yeah, they're really highly evolved souls with this
And
mission to
so
bring harmony to this planet.
yeah. So the energetics of the planet, the frequencies have risen. Um, how in what way do you sense that?
um well, with through the children, the they're coming with so much more gifts online. A lot of them are coming with no karmic ties already. So that's why, as well, it's so important for us ourselves to work on things like our generational and ancestral trauma. And um, so we're clearing ourselves for them to have a clear runway into through this life. Yeah. Um, so I'm seeing so many more sensitive kids, obviously not fitting into systems, really are being affected by certain health decisions and autonomy with health. Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of different ways, but especially their gifts online. They're very intuitive.
Mm.
I've seen children that do a lot of automatic writing at a very young age.
Wow.
They, yeah, they've got obviously their sea spirit. They've got their guides and elementals that they play with and see. Yeah, so um, that obviously is important for us to communicate with them on a level so we know what's going on in their world, and especially and even through their dream states and things, because often these things are happening to the children and the parents are also unaware, interestingly. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah, they don't know. I guess how do they respond to something where their child is saying, I'm seeing this or this being's with me, and I know for myself I had um a, what we call um an imaginary friend. Yeah, that's what I was trying to find. But I don't, yeah, obviously they're not imaginary, but that's what people say. You've got an imaginary friend. But for me, it was very real, this being. And I talked with my mum about that. She doesn't remember me mentioning him, but I feel I did talk about him, but I don't remember I ever got told off about, oh, that's stupid, or, who they don't exist or whatever. So I think that's really helpful to keep that connection.
That's
Um,
right. And not say they're wrong, or it's yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's that and supportive environment, isn't it? That really helps you to stay connected. So, of course, we look at that in the home dynamics.
Yeah.
Do you also feel there's a place like the schooling to start creating different kind of schools?
Oh,
And
definitely. And there's a lot of that going on now. I'm not sure about New Zealand, but the homeschool system here is really going gangbusters. And community groups in these groups of homeschoolers are, meeting regularly and setting up their own schools and things. So it doesn't always have to be done behind, in your own home. But yeah, there's lots of different ways now, but obviously also recognizing that it's okay if they do have to go through the system. I see a lot of parents that, they don't have any other options at the present moment, and so they have to go through the system. So there are ways to nurture those children too, in the system. But it's very important not to beat yourself up about it, and, you know, always show yourself kindness in no matter what situation you have chosen to be in, or, you know, need to be in at the time. Because any of that resentment and anger and guilt and shame about those sort of things will as well project onto the child in the system, and it just makes it a whole lot worse, you know. So there are
Yes.
ways that you can come into the systems, even in a you know, in a spiritual mindset or whatever, and in your own authority and your own autonomy, even to a degree, and advocate for your children in the system with respect and grace, not with war and anger and those because that's just what you're going to be
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. That's just going to be reflecting that,
it's going to
and
come back to you.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
come back
right.
to you.
And
Yeah.
yeah. So as a parent, I was reflecting on that the other day, that I had an ability to almost be invisible. And so I could be invisible in certain situations, and especially with the system. My kids went through the system. They're out now. But just in the moments where I really had to advocate for them, and this is with the health system as well. Yeah, there was just going in with that level of grace and respect, rather than arm yourself with, you know, the intense what you think is knowledge, or, you know, but you're arming yourself and going in there. If you go in on that other scale, it shifts the energy very quickly, and it cannot, and it often, it very well, it always reflects, shifts the situation for the child as well. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's, and that comes with also, again, working through your own nervous system responses and clearing your own generational, your childhood trauma or whatever this, because the system, the school system particularly, does have a lot of people do have a lot of childhood reactions and trauma through that. I understand that. So it's very easy to go in there all fighting, because you're fighting for that little person that went through it.
Yeah,
You
you're
yeah.
caring, but you can only care from the place of where you are and within yourself.
Mm,
So if
that's
you're seeing the wrongness and the hurt, and you haven't managed to have some deep healing from your own traumas, then those traumas present themselves through trying to speak for your child or whatever, and be in that system. So do you feel there's enough? I don't know whether that's the right word, but yeah, is there lots of avenues or people like yourself? Do you feel that people can come and see and help themselves and help the children to be in the schooling system if that's the only choice that they have?
Yes, of course. There's probably lots of alternatives, but and um it's yeah, anyone from, you mean like type of practitioners? Is that your question?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I practice kinesiology, and I've done some children's trauma therapies and counseling, some somatic trauma. Sorry, my dog's going on. Somatic trauma release therapies as well. And yeah, all of that definitely helps, and the children. So if you can get a practitioner that works with the child as well, and to help, you know, release the pent up energy from the nervous system, basically the survival mode that they're obviously can go through. And birth trauma is a big one as well. So we often carry the imprints from our birth. Well, we all do
Yeah.
throughout our whole life, but, you know, depending on, you know, what maybe primitive reflexes are still active. There's a lot of different reasons why your nervous system can be holding too much
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
the body. Yeah.
And the birthing, how do the because I've done some trauma release movements and I find them, yeah, amazing. They're really incredible, and I have helped some people just intuitively to put them in a trauma release hug and things like that, and that shifted things. And so is the birthing a kind of similar thing, or is does that happen on all levels? Is it emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, or does it
Oh,
focus on
definitely.
any? Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely all levels. Yeah, I see people that have carried trauma from even the birth not working out the way, it was intended to, but the soul of the baby even is like, oh, I don't know if I want to be here. There's too much, like, this is, and then there's a soul separation at that point too. So, and an energy separation from the body. And I know babies are spirit led up until the age of 2 or 3, and then they come back into alignment with their bodies after that a bit more. But yeah, there's definitely some trauma and fear into coming in here, because they're coming from these high frequency places into and made the choices and um all of that to come here, and then in those moments realizing that it's just it's really intense all of a sudden. So
Yeah.
there can be a lot of fear and terror in those moments that show up as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's
So
quite
that's been
remarkable.
really interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting, quite fascinating that you can see that the soul, you know that the soul's chosen to come in. The soul knows what it's going to experience for its evolution coming into the earthly realms and the human
Hmm.
body. However, it can still be too much, it can still go, oh, well, I'm not coping with this. So, what happens with the soul? Is it still near the body? And like, what do you observe with that when you say it's kind of freaked out and then it comes more back into the body after a few years?
Yeah, well, most all babies do are very spirit led. So their spirit's not, totally in alignment with their physical body for the first couple of years anyway. So that's with everybody. And then if there's traumatic experiences in that time frame as well, that's why it can be more soul damaging, if you know what I mean, or
Mm,
more. Yeah, but that's not something that can't be shifted either or changed, or that memory and that coding can be brought back, to light.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and healed and all the body's brought back into alignment and you
Mm.
carry on your way. So do you, with your experience, were you aware of having that in your body coming back more into alignment yourself?
No, not really, but it brings up a memory of one of my children. So all my children communicated to me before they were even conceived, and especially through conception and the pregnancy. But I remember one of them, our first eye contact moment after he came out, and he literally said to me, "I'm scared," like, and he was just really scared as a soul, coming in here. That's what he told me through his eyes, and I could feel it. And I was telling him, "You're safe. You're with me again. We're together again." Oh, I'm gonna cry thinking about it. But I could see that expression in his eyes, and
Wow.
which was really interesting, isn't it? Because yeah, you don't sort of expect that with a baby.
No, you
And it was a
don't. And
beautiful birth. It was a water birth. There was no drugs involved. You know, it was everything. It wasn't even a traumatic birth. And he was like, you know, almost bracing himself.
yeah, and I think this is wonderful to hear and learn because yeah, I know that we have a lot of trauma around our early times of our life, those early ages, those early years, and even before we were born and everything, they were super important, and that's where most of the core traumas are. However, I wasn't aware to the point of what you're saying, like the soul's still, even in a really good birth, a supportive mum, and I imagine father as well, and super intuitive and communicating on that level, and it's still saying, "Hey, I'm scared." So I feel,
Mm.
yeah, that helps us. I feel that helps me a lot to see the depth of core of these traumas from these young ages.
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's not, and yeah, we obviously did like through the nurturing and the bonding and there's the just him being in my energy, I think was enough. And knowing that he was safe was enough to move through life after that. Like he's
Yeah,
amazing. He doesn't have, any anxiety or anything like that. So yeah, that was just a moment in time, that first moment when he came through. And then it all sort of
yeah,
shifted with the nurturing and
because
the
you
attachment,
knew that, but
the
there's
attachment
lots of
parenting.
it. There would be lots of children that have come through and they wouldn't have a mum like you to communicate with them, to
Yeah,
nurture them. They would still be like, okay, oh, I've got a child, and how do I hold it? Okay, I
yeah.
need to figure that out, and oh, yeah, your turn to hold it, and the child's still going, oh, what am I doing here? Like, well, this is intense.
Yeah, that's right. And also it's about communicating, learning to communicate with them on that level. It's we can communicate with their higher self
Hmm.
quite easily. And I've done it throughout my children's journey, and even recently I did with one of my young adults. And they always give you permission. You have to ask permission. They have free will of their autonomy and everything, but it's such a valuable skill for parents to learn. And I do take mums and dads through this journey of connecting with their child's higher self, to ask the questions that the child can't tell you, they can't communicate, from all ages or even preconception. And yeah, obviously it can tell you so much about their behaviors, what they are wanting you to do or how they're wanting you to guide them. It can be as simple as one of my last clients, I took it through. Her daughter was just saying to him, daughter was 7, with ASD. Her daughter was just saying to her, "Mummy, just relax, let it go, and just play with me. That's all we need to do is be happy and play." Oh, and that was huge for this lady because she was going through, a lot of stress, couldn't figure out why her daughter was showing certain behaviors, and it really made her, focus on what's important, really.
Yeah,
And children, they want us to play, they want us to expand, enjoy, and play and love, obviously. But even
so
such
simple, isn't it?
simple, yeah. Um, some experiences I've had when my kids were young. My son, when he was probably about 5, told me that he saw colors. He can see auras. He never told me that, and I didn't know at the time, obviously. And then when I spoke to him about it, he's like, "Yeah, can't everyone else?" So we sort of worked and talked about that, and I let him know that it's okay. So he, didn't didn't need to shut it down because it was, or what he was seeing was real, you know, and so we
Mm.
investigated a little bit, you know. It didn't go too far, but it obviously, yeah, it was enough for him to, um, I think, just make sense of a few other things that was some time ago. That was
Yeah.
about 20 years ago.
How old was he when you had this conversation?
He was about 5, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful because that's it. You just kind of lost, don't you? You know, I mean, I didn't get the life I was born into. You know, I asked a lot of questions. Why do we do it that way? You know, why is it like that? I don't get it. Can you help me? You know, and
Mm.
that was not received. And it's not because my parents were bad. It's just unusual, or just they just work with what they work with, and everything. And yeah, think I think you're helping me see the depth of how much this is happening with everyone, and the depth of the degree of each one is could be quite huge, like, and for a very long time. So the importance of this is becoming even more real, just having this conversation for me, even though I know it's important, and I know it's real, and I know a lot about it, but I'm just feeling you're giving so much more clarity and depth to it that I think it's yeah, I'm just observing myself, feeling things moving and shifting. I was like, wow, I'm getting quite moved by it all, and feeling emotions in that as well with it, because it's yeah, we're such beautiful conscious beings. We come into this plane, and this densities and everything that's there, and that isn't us at all, and we know we chose it, but even with choosing it, it's still, yeah, it's still difficult. And yeah, I'm not quite sure how to word what I'm saying, because I can feel the sense of there's an aspect of, oh, well, I chose it, so I know it's okay, because and I can relate to it from that conscious place of it's a soul choice. And even though it was traumatic, there's beauty in it and all that. But I feel what you're sharing is just taking it a little bit beyond that,
Yeah,
and
great.
and I hope it can touch a lot more people as well, because yeah, I see the absolute importance, and yeah, to nurture our children as much as we can. And I feel we are in a place with humanity and consciousness where a lot of people are asking questions, of the systems and things like that. So I feel
Mm.
now more than ever, this is where we can reach and help a lot of people.
Yes, definitely. And, to really be able to tap into your child that way too, their higher self, or, and all our higher selves know exactly what's best for us, what's in our highest alignment, in our timeline. So, even just to ask those questions of what's good, or what is the best pathway for me, what's their mission, that may come through to their soul mission and purpose, and what, and even just as a parent to know how to guide your child to that, to some kids, I've seen are very are here to create technology that we haven't even thought of yet. So, and and I tell those parents, and they know now to, like, let them expand their knowledge and create, and just don't give them time pressure to finish creations, because that frustrates the crap out of them. But
Yeah,
just to let them go with those sort of things, so you can, yeah, the information is just priceless, that you can, when you tap into your child's subconscious and and their higher self.
yeah.
And yeah, they're not here to save us,
No,
they're here
yeah.
to they're here to do their be on their own.
To do their soul expression, their highest purpose, their mission, and whatever that is, isn't it? And yeah,
That's right.
So it
and
is
teach.
important to have these schoolings and systems in place that support them, to just allow them to flow and express however they need to, for, like you say, no time management. Doesn't make sense and have no idea what they're doing. That's
Mm,
fine. If they
mm,
know what they're doing,
mm.
they know what they need to explore and move. Yeah, it's magical.
That's right. And you're able to access what they're mirroring back to you, like in their behaviors or whatever, because they are our mirrors, and I find a lot of children at actually surrogating for their parents too. So, what their parents are going through, the child is expressing tenfold a lot of the time. And it's not until you work with, say, what we call the fulcrum of the family, the one person in the family that everyone else's nervous system seems to be running around, and because we are one in a family unit, and no matter what that family looks like, it's many versions of that. Um, but that one fulcrum um, pretty much controls the whole family nervous system. Yeah, so it's also very important to look at those things and to help the unit, because it is one. Um, oh, what's the word? Like an entrainment, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And so
Entrainment
can
energy in families.
one person like really do a lot of healing on that, and then that
And then
heals the whole.
most of the time it will, affect everybody. That's
Mm,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. And bring everybody into balance a lot more, into their own sovereignty. So yeah.
And do
And
you feel a child's chosen a certain way of um, expressing that in a more tenfold kind of way to help the parents with their journey of what it
oh,
is they need to work on?
definitely, they're definitely here to show us all our shit, aren't they?
Yeah,
It's 100%.
yeah.
And it depends, and that it's totally, up to you how you want to perceive that. You could make that mean all sorts of things. You can make that
Mm,
mean that it's, just bring it up. You can just swirl around in that for a while, or you can look at it and and go, okay.
it's going to keep coming back to be looked at whether you look at it
Yeah,
or not. So,
that's right. Yeah, that's right. And just look what it is, how it is affecting everybody around me, especially the children.
mm,
Um, because yeah, their energy is so super sensitive, obviously. They do, and even in the classroom. So it's really important, obviously, as well, to teach them tools to, not only protection, but that they have free will and authority over who comes into their space, whether that's on this earthly plane or not. Um, they're just as powerful, um, and they have that choice to, whether it feels good or feels not good, and if they can learn certain quantum techniques to know what to do with that themselves. And I'm seeing children as young as this is one of my clients yesterday was in year 2, so what's that make 7 years old. So she's doing those practices in a classroom with her friends as well, with the people around her. She's doing it at night. She sets up little light things in the corner of her bedroom at night because she was having some nightmares, and she sees people, a spirit. So, and not all of them are good, don't or not all of them feel good to her. So it's so important to um teach them that it's okay to feel these things, and if it's only anything that feels good is going to be true, or good for you, basically.
yeah.
If it doesn't feel good or you can't decide, then it's not, and again, like there's quantum tools we can use to help them set up that thing, yeah, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's super important because that's the very thing that can get them to shut it off, isn't it? You know, that it's too much, these beings, and they don't like them and they're not so
Yeah,
such a nice experience. And
that's right. So how blessed are these children to have parents that understand that, like
mm,
we obviously were probably, indigos ourselves, right? So we've busted through this system. We've been the rebels and we've, gone, but most of our lives to it all. And now we're the ones bringing through these star seeds and these super even higher vibrational, sensitive, super sensitive children. So it really is a magical time on earth, isn't it? That, you know, even though it feels super, super dense at times, and it depends what you focus on to what, you're seeing in the world, what becomes your reality.
yeah,
But my reality, it's looking really beautiful. Uh, and especially the more we can teach parents to be sovereign and, you know, and give these children and support these children with these tools and skills, and which they already know, but they already know innately, but just
yes,
to encourage that and guide them on that level is
hmm,
just going to change. It is just the start.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, amazing. And do you find, like, of course, nature's important. Is it super, super important, or like what level does nature play for these children to stay in their
Oh,
bodies and yeah, be here?
yes. It's crucial, actually. It's super important for them to be um in nature and exploring, you know, uh just really fostering that childlike wonder. That's what nature gives us, isn't it? Even now,
Yeah,
probably with you and me, every sunrise, you're just like, wow, like you've never seen a sunrise before,
yes,
and it's, yeah, really just anchoring in that. Obviously, the earth grids, they'll start to, the more they're in nature, the more they will start to feel the vortexes, the power, the places where there's more power. And yeah, and it becomes a part of their resetting as well, like, their own um resetting of their nervous system. So I'll speak for my children. Have always grown up, in nature on some level. They never ever gaming or you know, there was no phones really when they were young anyway. It was not like now, but they were always outside and building stuff, and and sharpening. One of my the little one got suspended in prep because he was sharpening knives like Bear Grylls, and he'd stolen knives out of the TikTok shop, and he was sharpening them between the banana trees because it was like a school on a farm sort of thing. And yeah, and then they realized that he'd gone and hidden all these knives in the playground, because every lunchtime he'd go out and sharpen more things so he could make things to knock up like little shelters for, I don't know what he was doing, but there was so that's, yeah. Anyway, that was off track. But what I'm saying is that, yeah, they sort of grew up, but now they're young adults. I was just reflecting the other day, like he's 18, this one, and he'll just say, Mum, I'm going to watch the sunset every second, or every, if he's home from work to watch the sunset, needs to go, And I'm like, wow, what 18-year-old runs off to watch the sunset on the beach every night? But and yeah, they're all very much like, I often find them on the roof of the house looking at the stars like I used to do. But I know that was also really helping them regulate and reset, and almost their meditation. They don't intentionally meditate, but
yeah,
that's their connection. So that's just my own experience from my children of having them very much. nature kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And integration, like where does that play in supporting them? Right? Integrating high energies, or like, do you find they go through processes where they need some time to themselves or whatever, and things like that, and that's
Yeah,
because a
definitely.
big energies come through, or there's a shift in their
Mm,
in psyche or whatever.
definitely. And they go through their own, mini awakenings and transitions too all the time um, there's obviously, as we know, there's huge transitions in childhood and you know
Yeah.
to young adults, and as guardians of them, yeah, it's really important too that I suppose that we're aware on some level that that's what they're going through is uh, a transition, or another level of awakening, I suppose. um it's also important for young children. I'm not sure why I have to say this, but for young children, if they to be aware, if they don't actually, if they feel uncomfortable going into a room in the house, or like if they just don't want to be somewhere, or they can just understanding that they're probably feeling an energy in there, so we have to ourselves go and clear their space. We have to make sure their spaces are clear because they are so sensitive. So yeah, I think I had to say that it's really important that we clear the children's bedrooms energetically, and any other space that we think that they might be seeing something or fearing something. Does that make
Of
sense?
course, there's many ways of clearing, but can people who aren't so aware of the many tools, like just smudging with sage, is enough, do you feel, or does it require more
Um,
sometimes?
well, you can smudge. Obviously, I think it's about really depending on how tuned in you are with the
Yes.
energy. Some people don't even need to smudge because they can do that um, on another level as well. And but yes, smudging and setting up light temples and things like that in the room and around the door frames. You can do that sort of thing, but you can definitely sense the shift when it feels good or not. I also teach people how to um, muscle test or use your body to give you answers as a like a pendulum type thing. So
Hmm.
that for people that don't feel energy quite yet, or we're all got different knowledge or senses, haven't we? So
Yes.
for those ones that um you know can't do that, yeah, muscle testing or the using your body as a questioning tool is perfect for that sort of thing too, to know, okay, have we smudged, is that clear, do we need something else, what else do we need? It could be oils, it could be like moving the furniture around as well, because um I also look at the ways the bedroom's set up with the EMF um lines, and if there's electricity or water running, or if there's
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So we can also look at children's rooms like that, and it may just need repositioning of the bed.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely experienced that with water lines that you're not aware of until you're lying on top of it, and you're like, oh, you feel very disrupted in your
Yeah,
sleep. And
yeah, that's right. And
mm,
so all that, oh yeah, it's just really important to look at it all. So yeah, it comes in really handy when you know how to bypass the subconscious mind and use your body as a tool to help you along with those answers until your intuition really kicks in.
mhm.
And then it just works together anyway.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, it's such a yeah, I think it's so important this conversation and to acknowledge the amazing sensitivities and the incredible beings that are coming through on the planet and what we're truly here for. So yeah, I really enjoyed this and I feel it's opened my eyes even more to it. So yeah, I'm really grateful, really, really grateful for you to come on and I always ask at the end, is there something more you'd like to share with the audience before we finish up? And
Oh, I think just be kind to yourself. Be kind. If we're all kind to ourselves, and the children are watching us, how we treat ourselves as well, and yeah, enjoy these beautiful moments of our children and being guardians of them. Yeah.
yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think
My
it's sorry, you cut out a little bit then.
Oh yeah. Visit my Starseed Village group on Facebook, because I'm going to actually offer very soon release a guide to channeling your child's higher self. So um I really would love, every parent to know how to do that, at least to connect on a whole deeper level with their child. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. Yeah. They have that, yeah, really heart connection, eh? And just intuitive and sensing and feeling and knowing what supports. It creates a whole different world, doesn't
Yeah, definitely.
it?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Jacob.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, and thank you for coming on. Yeah, I feel really grateful to have you and blessed. And I feel, of course, these go out to and touch whoever they're meant to touch, and I trust in
Yeah.
that process. And yeah, and I feel, just even just talking about these things, everything has a ripple effect. So just even us talking about it, people don't have to hear it, and it can touch them. So
Mm.
I think it's beautiful in all
Yeah.
ways.
Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you all for listening in and joining us today. And yeah, sending you big hugs and much love. And take care. We'll see you next time.